All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. This is Taria Avant with the Visionary Book Club review call. I'm just getting our phone call to 1 second. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, I definitely want to congratulate each and every one of you for actually tuning into the Visionary Book Club review. We've been having a couple of technical difficulties, but that's okay. We won't be able to utilize our cool fancy dancy application, but you guys will be able to still see the presentation. And anyways, if this is your first time actually dialing in or chiming in, as you know, we're doing it two different ways. You can actually listen through your cell phones, as well as being able to listen on SoundCloud, and we'll have this version uploaded for you guys, as well as you're able to go on to our YouTube channel. So our Visionary Book Club YouTube channel to look at all past reviews. And also what's great is we've got some new stuff that's going to be taking place, guys, where you can actually see the new look of the website for the visionarybookclub.com. And you can go there and be able to look at some of our past and latest and greatest videos. Now, the point of making sure that you join the book club is so that you're able to be updated on all the things that are taking place. You know, sometimes we have certain situations where we might not be able to do the call that particular day, or maybe you want to know about maybe a special giveaway that we're going to be doing for the group. So you definitely want to join the book club email blast. But we also have our social communities where you want to join those. And the purpose of joining the communities, of course, is to connect with other people who are like-minded, and at the same time to be able to post your answers for the questions of the day. And so with today, we're going to actually go back. We missed a week, so we're going to go back and we're going to be reviewing chapters 1 through 6 in total. And the question of the day is, from the chapters that you've read from 1 through 6 on what to say when you talk to yourself, the question is, what have you learned most? Now, this book was written by Shad Helmstetter, and it definitely is an amazing book thus far. You know, I think the reason why this book is because, you know, when I'm okay, you guys, sorry, you might see somebody in the back, but that's okay. Well, I'm actually here in Virginia. It's okay. That's our aunt back there, making sure she takes care of us. So we're traveling in Virginia. I'm so excited about you're now a superstar. It's like she said, oh my God. But anyways, what was I talking about? Okay, back to what we were saying. Shad Helmstetter, he wrote this book. She's so tickled. And I think this book is incredible because if you're anything like me, you know, one of the things I used to always pray for this, I would say, God, please allow me to still keep this same excitement. Like I would attend an event, spend a lot of money to go to these events, a lot of my time to go to these events. And my goal was to be able to keep that same excitement that I had while there. I always wanted to know, how can I keep it, you know, throughout for a long period of time? And this book is definitely the book that you want to read if you want to understand, first of all, how the brain works, and then how to be able to keep those feelings so that you can continue to move forward with whatever the goals are that you've set for yourself, especially to change yourself, you know, and so it's so important, guys. I think this book is definitely going to be, you know, another one of our top books. And I tell you, we've had such a great time. This book club has definitely evolved. You know, we started off, of course, just doing our calls, but now, you know, we're making it available, and it's so incredible because I met so many people just recently from all parts of the world who were telling me that they've had the opportunity to chime in to our book club, whether it was listening back to, you know, past calls through SoundCloud or going on our YouTube channel. So with that, what I want to do real quick before we get started is I want to show you, I definitely want to show you the YouTube channel, well, the website, the Visionary Book Club website. And so this is it right here, visionarybookclub.com. And for those that are listening in on there, we actually have a video, so you can see the video of the last review we've done. And it also talks about some of the past books that we've read, and it tells you about how you can join our contest that we have. And so there's, you know, randomly we'll be picking people, you know, every single review for people that we want to highlight and celebrate that you know will win a prize. However, the key is you have to be on the live review call. So as you can see, you want to join one of these social communities. You can like it or join our Google Plus page. All you have to do is click this link and it'll open up to take you to, well, that wasn't right. So I got to fix that link, but it'll take you to this particular page right here, which is, hold on, let me show you what the Visionary Book Club page looks like on Facebook. This is the Visionary Book Club page right here. It'll take you here and you can actually click like and like that, but then you want to make sure that you stay active. You know, as a lot of people aren't really staying active with this, and you want to, so that you can actually get the opportunity to win. And then you can go to the Google Hangout page, and that's what this looks like right here. Now, the key is what you want to do is during the reviews, you actually want to make sure. So, for example, you see like this is today's review right here. And you'll click on the event to find what the latest event is, and then you want to put your answer to the question. So the question of today is, what did you learn most from chapters 1 through 6? And so you would put your answer right here, okay? The event so that we can easily find you, and that will enter you in to actually be to get the opportunity to win. Okay, so anyways, let's get this party started. Again, we are reviewing What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Shad Helmstetter, an amazing book. And so let's go ahead. We actually reviewed chapters 1 through 3 before, but we're going to re-review it again as a whole because this first portion of the book, it really breaks down for us, guys, you know, how the brain works and why it is that we are the way we are. Why do we think the way we think? And so I think it's important to just combine them all together and then moving into, you know, the steps that we need to take to actually make those changes. Okay, so chapters 1 through 6, looking for a better way, the answers, what works and what does not work, new discoveries, we learn to believe, and the wall. Okay, so now chapter 1, looking for a better way. All right, now I'm just going to go through these, but I'm going to, of course, add, you know, to them. But we know what life has to offer. So what is the wall that stands in our way, right? We know all the great things that we can have. You know, we've seen the stories, we've heard of the people, we've heard of the successes, but, you know, a lot of times we have to figure out, well, what is it that's keeping us from getting to that next level? You know, living life with no challenges. And that's what a lot of people sometimes, you know, I think that's where we believe like that's the only way to go to that next level of life is if we could have no challenges. And all we do is we just hope, we promise, we have the expectation and hope for achievement, right? But when you think about it, when we were young, we had an amazing imagination. You know, I talk about this all the time, and if you were a part of the book club at the beginning when we talked about the 4 agreements, guys, we talked about it in that book. You know, we talk about it in all, I mean, really in a lot of the books of how our programming really started as a child. But as a child, we had so many amazing imaginations. Remember, you know, there would be times where we one day we would want to be an astronaut, and then the next day, right, I actually want to be, I don't think my screen was sharing, so let me go back to make sure you guys can see. But the next day we would then want to be, you know, want to be a lawyer, or we would want to be, you know, something. And so with that said, you know, we had such amazing imaginations. And then as time developed, we began to change, right? There was 2 things, right, that Dr. Helmstetter said that he had to put a focus in studying is first the human behavior, and then motivational marketing. And you know, first of all, human behavior, it is what it is, but we have the choice to decide of, you know, what we want to do. But typically our decisions are based off the motivational marketing. And that's things that we see, you know, over and over, things that we're told over and over, things that, you know, have been presented to us as we grow over and over. Mastering one's future must surely start with managing oneself. And that's really the key here. You know, that's the key. Well, we've got to understand, first of all, our future is determined by us. We have to learn how to become masters of ourselves. And then he talks about the answers, right? There's, you know, what is the answer? How can we get to that next level, right? Well, first of all, I want to talk about for the first 18 years of our lives, Shad Helmstetter, guys, and I'm going to bring my screen back up, but Shad Helmstetter talks about the fact how for the first 18 years of our lives, guys, we are told no more than 148,000 times. I mean, that right there, that's a big number, 148,000 times. He even says that if you grew up in a very good environment, let's say a wealthy environment, you were even still told anywhere between 50 to 100,000 times no. And when you think about the ratio compared to how many times we were told yes, it is like a fraction, only a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of how many times we were told yes versus told no. How many times we were told, think about it. You're always going to be that way. I remember, even hearing stuff as growing up, and I know it wasn't, intentional to create the programming for me to believe that this is how I would be. But I remember those conversations saying, you'll always be that way. If you don't straighten up, this is what's going to happen. Instead of being told you're amazing, you can do what you want to do, you're going to be successful, you're going to be a millionaire. No, I would hear stuff like, do you think money grows on trees? Or no, I don't have it. Or, who do you think I am? Things like that. And it's not, again, intentional, but that's the world we live in. Why is that? Well, because 77% of our thinking is negative. Okay, 77% of everything that we think is negative. That's why when negative news pops up, it gets more ratings than something that's positive. A lot of people say, why don't these stations post more positive stuff? I had somebody tell me that the other day. Why won't they post positive stuff? Well, the reason why is because these stations understand that mentally we have been triggered to be more entertained with the negative news. We like to see the negative things. I'm telling you guys, we heard about something major that just happened in the world where an individual passed away, and I tell you, it seemed like within a matter of minutes, people found some additional negative things to add on top of this sad situation, because a lot of the stuff we think of as negative. In fact, he also talks about the 75% of most of our illnesses are self-induced. We create our own illnesses. Why? Because 77% of the time we're negative, right? And so we have to learn that that's the first thing that we've got to do. We've got to change our programming. Our programming, the only way that we can change it, it has to be erased or replaced, right? And we're going to really talk about that again. He really keeps on pushing that fact of erasing or replacing, right? And so let me go back. I want to reshare the screen again. So let me go back and share that. So, now we're talking about, guys, now putting into a position where it's really time to, we're understanding a little bit more and more how our brain is functioning, why it is that we do what we do. But guys, we got to really be able to understand how to change that, right? But first of all, your success or failure in anything, large or small, will depend on your programming. Right? How much of what you do and how you act, what you accept from others and what you do yourself. That's, again, going back to even the programming that I received as a child, what I accepted in regards to who I am. When you meet someone for the first time, or you meet somebody and they tell you that they're shy, typically they didn't wake up out of the womb saying, I'm going to be a shy person. No, that was created through the programming that somebody gave to them. What you put in as well, guys, is what you get out. Luck or desire has the slightest thing to do with it. I hear a lot of times people say, man, you're just lucky. No, that person has a different set of programming. And that's one thing you've got to learn to understand. If you ever get around somebody who is self-made, or shall I say, has come from one situation and risen to another level, or even someone who was brought up in that environment, their programming, their talk, their language is so much more different than someone who might have come up in a less available area, a less, financial, or a less, it's more impoverished, right? Area, and they weren't able to get out of that, or they weren't able to connect with someone to change their programming. Guys, their conversations are totally different. And the thing what we must learn about our brain, guys, it has nothing to do with the circumstances that we were brought up in. It has nothing to do with the fact that maybe we went to Yale or we went to jail. right? The brain simply believes what you tell it most. It doesn't care if it's right or wrong. It becomes stored in your subconscious. What you think, you will become. You know, what could your future hold? Right? What could your future hold if we could change some of our programming, right? Those with successful lives maybe have a better programming, right? And that's what we've been talking about. We understand that those that are successful, their programming is different. And so we've got to keep that in our mindset. Remember, the brain simply believes what you tell it most. And what you tell it about you, it will create. It has no choice. So now the question is, how do we change the programming, right? How do we change the programming? Well, first the question is this, and this is something I think that is very important that we must reflect on. And when you think about, and he talks about this in the book as well, being a therapist, therapists typically go all the way back to your childhood where you were given the initial programming. And if we went back to our childhood, let's just imagine for a second, if we went back to our childhood and we were given extra confidence, just think about it. What if our parents maybe told us more that we were courageous, we were amazing, we could do anything? Double determination, more belief in outcomes. One thing I will tell you guys that I quickly picked up as I got, to the higher levels of education, that I learned through the programming from my father was to never give up. He never allowed me to quit a class. I remember every single year I would enroll in a certain class and I wanted to quit it because I thought I wouldn't be able to do it. But that was something that was given to me as a child that created the programming for me today, why it's so very hard for me to give up on anything, right? Think about it. If you were given that extra confidence, right? And again, guys, this isn't a blaming game. This is being able to reprogramming your mind, your thoughts, which directly reflect your activity. Okay. If we were able to do that, would you believe that you would have a better job today? Would you have more money? Right? Or would you just have a totally different life? Guys, remember, after all, it is not the pen, but the writer who creates the story. It's not the road, but the runner who runs the victory. It is our choice. We have the choice to reprogram where we go. Now, we know we want to reprogram ourselves. We know we want better, and we're reading the books. We're participating in the book club, right? But the question is, why is it that we're not able to keep what we've been doing? Why can't we stick with it, right? And that's how, right? And so we're going to be talking more about that going down the line. But what I want to first tell you is this is the type of stuff that we do, right? We go to the events, we go to the seminars, we read the books, we listen to the audios. Hopefully you guys are doing those things. We're doing so much more, and and it works for some time, just like, right now, a lot of the individuals that are probably participating in this book club fired up, excited because of a situation, an event that just occurred. And guys, we get fired up, but what happens is we lose all that excitement, okay? And so this is what Chad Helmstetter talks about, Dr. Helmstetter. He states that the billions of dollars in the self-help industry have all had valid points. They all do great things, all the books that we've read, but there's three main ingredients that you must have in order to be able to do the reprogramming. Number one, permanence, right? The state or quality of lasting or remaining unchanged indefinitely. That means it is permanent, right? This information that you have received, it becomes permanently ingrained into your brain, and that's it, right? That's what it is, right? We must ourselves understand, this is number two, we must ourselves understand the actual process by which the human brain accepts information. When you begin to learn how your brain starts to receive information, accept it, and turn it into action, it makes it easier for you to understand when you're working on yourself, how to be able to take that and make it stick, make it become permanent. And then number three, word for word, set of directions. This is very important. Programming vocabulary. And he talks about some of the programming vocabulary that if we were to use this, let's just say we were to use this type of vocabulary and pull it up on my phone. If we were to use this kind of vocabulary all the time, imagine where our lives would be. And we know some of these things, right? Believe in yourself, keep your priorities straight, take responsibility for yourself, create your own future. And there's so many more. But guys, these are the types of things, that we know that we need to do. Well, we have to be able to create the right vocabulary to be able to do those things right. So this is important now. So now we're going into really understanding the human body, okay? And this actually goes now into chapters 5, okay? Understanding the human body. So we know the 3 elements that we need. Permanence, we need to be able to have a process, understand the process, how the brain works, and then of course, word for word programming, basically word for word directions, word for word affirmations. Remember, we talk about that all the time, speaking great things into your life, speaking what it is that you want. And far too many of us, we don't continue with those word to word actions. But before we can even understand that, let's even go into a bigger breakdown of the human body and how it works. And he compares it to that of like a computer. Okay, so that of like a computer. Now in the computer, there's 3 main parts. With the computer has the screen, okay? The screen, which you guys are looking at right now, right? Everybody is looking at the screen. And the screen, what that does, guys, is basically, if you compare it to the body, the screen is your appearance or the actions that you take. It's what people see when they see you. That's what the screen is, okay? The second portion is the keyboard. And the keyboard is how you put the information in to the computer. And in our keyboard, is comprised of 5 elements. 5 elements, 5 senses. Those are our senses, smelling, seeing, hearing, tasting, and touching. These different senses are what inputs all of the information into our computer, okay? And then you have your hard drive, right? Your brain, right? But to break it down even more is your subconscious mind. That's your hard drive. Your conscious mind is information that you speak out loud. Right now, I'm consciously speaking to you guys, but that has come from all the information that is stored in my subconscious mind. So those are the 3 parts of our body, right? Like a computer. We've got our screen, which is our appearance or our actions. Then we also have the keyboard, which is our 5 senses: hear, see, taste, touch, and smell. And then we have the hard drive, subconscious mind. What we've got to work on, guys, is the subconscious mind, okay? We've got to work on the subconscious mind. One thing that you must understand is that it never sleeps. It never sleeps. What do you mean, Taria? The subconscious mind never sleeps. Well, what I'm saying is that every hour, every minute, every second of the day that you have television on, that you have radio on, that you're having a conversation, everything, any kind of communication that is received through your 5 senses, when you eat food, you ever had something and, maybe even as a baby, you probably ate something and didn't like the taste. And now as an adult, you're saying, well, I don't like that kind of food, right? Like me, I don't like watermelon. Where did that come? That feeling came from my subconscious mind. Okay, consciously I spoke it out, but subconsciously is the reason why I don't like it, right? It never sleeps. And so you've got to remember that. You've got to hold yourself accountable for understanding that everything that you hear, everything that you see, smell, taste, or touch is going into your programming. It's just your brain is just working nonstop over and over and over and over all the time. It's never not receiving information. Thousands of thoughts are going into our brain every single day, and we don't even know it, okay? What you learn as a child, you believe, and these beliefs become the foundation of your thoughts today. And so what happens is, let's just say, you're given a new idea. For example, sometimes in the type of business I'm in, it requires a lot of coaching. Okay, requires a lot of coaching, and I'm always coaching individuals and showing them able to go to the next level. Now, what happens is a lot of times, even with the coaching, I'll give some instructions, and they may or may not do it. Typically, the reason why they may or may not do something is because of what has been embedded into their subconscious mind. What happens is, let's say, for example, I say, well, in this business, what you want to do is you want to be able to build relationships with people, right? What they were taught though, coming up, the program they were given was, no, you need to close them in, 3 seconds or less. I'm just making up something, right? I've been taught close 3 seconds or less is the only way, regardless if they've ever even seen it happen. That's just what they were programmed. Why? Because they were told it over and over and over again, 3 seconds or less. I'm telling you, you've got to build a relationship. Well, what'll happen is that information of building the relationship, it'll go into your mind, right? You'll consciously receive it, and then it goes into your subconscious mind. Now, what happens is, based upon the programming that you've been given in the past, will determine if you will even deposit it into your bank account, right? You remember we talked about the emotional bank account or the mental bank account in the previous book, right? The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The only way you ever receive information that is new is it has to happen over and over. So if I give you some coaching, or if I give you some information and it's not based off of what you've learned in your past, in your programming, I don't care how much you want to change. I don't care how much you say, I'm going to go to another level. But if that is not how you were brought up, it will not stay deposited. That's why you don't keep the same feelings that you've had when you leave an event, because you're going back to your old programming. Your subconscious mind always goes into play. Guys, I hope you guys are getting this right here, because this is a big deal. This is really, really good, because it's breaking down for us, guys, why we do what we do on a continued basis. It's not because we don't want better in our life. It's because our subconscious mind has been programmed for however old we are, and it makes it extremely difficult, right? It makes it extremely difficult for us to be able to go out there and change and be able to receive new information if we've been programmed for so long, okay? So, right? So what happens is, now we have to be able to consciously understand that and be aware of that, and it has to go through repetitious information. The more you think of yourself a certain way, the more you'll think about yourself in that way. Guys, what's so big about this that I must also say, and let me fix this because I opened up something real quick. What I think is so interesting about, this book is really because all these years I thought that, well, I'm reading these books and I'm learning this information, but why is it not sticking? And what's happening, guys, I gotta be honest. I gotta tell y'all, let me tell you something. Hold on. I'll tell you, using this new technology is killing me. I can't wait till we can go back to our old programming. But anyways, I gotta tell you, from what I've been seeing in my life, from even starting as an entrepreneur, well, I mean, I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years, 10 plus years. But I never knew all this information of self-development and self-help and, growing within so that you can grow, on the outside. And I can even look back at my life in the past and look at how my successes continue to fail because of the programming that I was given. But as I kept on working, I would see better things happen, right? Things would get better. And so I tell people all the time, make sure that you celebrate some of the small things that are happening with your business, that are happening with your life. Because if you learn to celebrate those smaller things, what that does is it's starting to reprogram your subconscious mind into believing more, into believing bigger, to believing that, oh, I can do this. Oh, I'm not shy. Hopefully this makes sense, because let's say, for example, if you're a shy person and you just believe you're shy, right? And I tell you, well, I need you to go talk to 5 people today. Well, you might try to talk to those 5 people, but your subconscious mind has been programmed to let you know, that's not what I do. I'm shy. And so what happens is, because that's what's always in your mind, even if you talk to one person, that one person, you're like, okay, I'm done for today. I can't talk anymore. I can't do it, right? And that's because your subconscious mind is powerful, and it's now kicking into play. It's reminding you, Taria, you're shy, right? And so a lot of times what I do is I say, take baby steps. So today I say, well, go out and smile at 5 people. What happens is, you smiled at those 5 people and you saw the results. You didn't get tore down. You didn't get told no. You didn't get rejected. You just did a smile. You're now doing some reprogramming to your mind and saying, hey, it's really not that bad, right? It's really not that bad. So guys, I want you to understand, that's why we've got to continue to make sure we continue to work on ourselves. We can never give up, right? To get rid of our negative programming, guys, we also have to learn how to get rid of our negative self-talk. We talk negative a lot, right? Whether it's out loud or it's in your mind, it happens. Our unconscious thinking comes from others typically, and it started at childhood. So I can tell you this, guys, if you're not where you want to be, I've had some people, they say, well, I don't never talk negative. I say, okay, well, are you where you want to be financially? Are you where you want to be within your business and your relationships? No, I'm not. Okay. Let's go back to maybe back into childhood. Where did you start, do you believe, to have the type of beliefs that you have with this business? Well, I believe that I can be successful. Are you sure? Are you sure that you believe you can be successful? Yes, I do. Okay, well, why aren't you successful? Well, this is why. And they start with the negative self-talk. This is why they're not. And then it really opens for us that really this is what you think of most. The reason why you're not where you need to be. Woo! Started at childhood. Remember, 75% or more of our thinking is negative. We must learn to override our conditioning, guys, with reprogramming our thoughts. There's two ways to reprogramming ourselves. Number one is erase, and number two is replace. Guys, erase literally means that you just, you ever had somebody go into a coma and they, come out, they don't remember nothing, right? Because they had a traumatic hit right to their head. And we don't want to do that. And so the only way that we can do it is through replacing, and that's through repetitious information. So that's what we say to ourselves consciously. And we have to consciously say it even if we don't believe it. But the more that you say it consciously, the more that you do little pieces of activities to strengthen and reprogramming your thinking, the more you'll start to believe what it is that you're speaking. Now, this is what I want you to understand. Excuse me, about the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind, consciously, if you say I'm a millionaire, consciously that you're not. But the more that you say it, and the more that your subconscious mind receives it, your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between I'm a millionaire and I'm broke. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between I'm happy and I'm sad. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between I'm a go-getter and I'm shy. That consciously, that's what you know the difference. But what you feed your subconscious mind repetitiously is what you begin to believe. But remember, it all started years ago. We have to reprogram that thinking years ago. Okay? And so with that said, guys, that's pretty much it for this particular review. But we do have a very special guest on today. I'm so excited because we finally were able to get somebody that can review on the call. This young lady is definitely doing some amazing things, and we call her Q. Her last name is Kwamina, and so I definitely wanted to bring her on our Google Hangout. I know you guys can't hear on the call, but she's on speaker, so you could probably hear a little bit. I'll try to put the phone up to the speaker. But Miss Q, I know you've had a chance to actually review chapters 1 through 6, and my question is, from what you've read, what would you say that you've learned most so far, just in the review that you've gotten today, as well as what you've been reading?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you clear. I'm gonna mute myself so that we can see you and hear you.
Okay. Gosh, it is so hard to pinpoint one thing. Like I said, when you chose this book, I was just thinking to myself, yes, finally she chose that book that's been on my list forever and a day, and I've been highlighting like crazy. I actually had to stop and go back and do what you said the first time, which is read first and then highlight second, because I was highlighting everything. But just like you said, the programming, you already hit the hammer on the nail or the nail on the head, whatever the saying is. When you said, I did the same exact thing that you were saying. I was wondering why, because I'm definitely a self-help lover. And I was wondering, if I have all of these books and I'm always listening to all of these audios, why am I still stuck? Why can't I get unstuck? And so this book, even though we read it in, we've touched on this a little bit with the other books, it's this book that really, I think, is just the common language, and then the analogies that he uses, like when he was talking about his music teacher saying he couldn't play a music instrument, and when he was talking about the Disney story, and it's like, who would say that the guy who worked at Disney wasn't creative? But when he was talking about all these examples and just really breaking it down, and I do really a lot better. I do a whole lot better when I have visualizations or anecdotes or stories and things like that. So when he compared, like you just did on the reminder slide, our brain to the computer and broke it down, like the keyboard is like this and the screen is like that, I was just like, whoa. I mean, it's just hitting home on so many levels. And I don't know. Like I said, I've highlighted so much. It's just crazy. But when he was talking about the fact that, what's one thing that I highlighted? Just recognizing the wall and getting past it. I have look at this. There's way too many highlights. But just getting past the wall. And so I'll just say, like, it's helping out because today, I'll use today as an example because that's the most recent. Like, I was just at Lenox Mall right before this call. And, you know, of course, I like to look at nice things. However, in the past, I would always look at something and then just, like, if I saw a dress, be like, oh, that's nice. Let me keep walking because I know I can't afford it, or I know this, or I know that. And today, I was like, no, let me look at it. And I looked at the price, and before I would be like, oh, that's too much, I don't have it. And I said, you know what, let me try it on, because the young lady asked, would you like to try it on? I said, I surely would like to try it on. And I took all the clothes that I wanted, and I put them all in the dressing room, and I tried them all on, and prices that I normally thought, oh, I can't afford that. Today, I was like, you know what, actually, this is a good quality, it feels good, this price is not bad. And to me, that may not sound like a lot to a lot of people, but to me, it was a huge deal. Because I would always limit myself and say no, 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 no. And so I have been doing affirmations actually since reading this book. And I'm not going to lie to you, I used to think that affirmations were kind of silly. But now I understand why. He said, there was a quote that he had in here, and he says, it was a quote about repetition, right? And he said, repetition is the most convincing argument. Or it was something to that effect. I remember it was at the bottom of like a page on the right. And so since he's, you know, just since reading this book and understanding better why affirmations aren't so silly, I haven't been saying affirmations, and I know that's the reason why I tried on all those clothes today, because it wasn't that far out of my mental capacity to believe that I could afford those clothes. Mm-hmm. Or that even if I can't, like at this very moment, it just didn't seem so intangible as it once did, if that makes sense. And I'm convinced that it's only like I took a picture of the clothes, I took a picture of me in the clothes, I took a picture of the receipts, and after I get off this call, I'm add them all up, and I am convinced that I'm going to get those clothes. Now my husband doesn't know that, but I know that. So I am enjoying this book, and I'm sorry to ramble, but that's a huge step for me, huge.
Oh, no, Q. You know, it's okay because I'm getting text messages right now, people telling me how amazing the review has been so far. And you really definitely just laid it out for us just with the examples. I mean, that's a big deal. It is a big deal. The clothing deal is a big deal. And then what you want to do is go back and think to, when did you start having these thoughts of, let me not look at these type of clothes? And understanding, which I'm sure you've already done, and understanding where that programming came from. You know, I remember I was even joking about it the other day. I had a lot of telemarketing jobs. And I remember one day my father telling me, he got mad, and he didn't mean anything by it, but he said, you're going to always work in telemarketing. And that became so ingrained in my mind that what I chose to do was I ended up working at all these marketing, but I also always would say to myself, I will not stay in that. I mean, in telemarketing, I won't stay. Like, I would say it all the time because I wanted to prove him wrong, right? And so again, you know, our programming is so important, guys, that we understand why we think certain things, why we believe it's okay to talk all the time about negative stuff. Why? Because people say you need to know what's going on in the news, right? That's the programming we were given. And so I think this book, it's not, you know, it's definitely very similar to a lot of the stuff that we're reading. But what we're doing now, just like with what you saw with Q, is we're bringing in awareness to understanding why we don't once we get the information, why we don't actually go to the next level with it. So hold on one sec. I'm trying to share the screen so you guys can see the remainder of the presentation. And of course, we would have a little challenge. Okay, so here we go. So to finish this off, guys, we're going to be reviewing chapters 7 through 11. So you want to finish all the way to the end of chapter 11 for the next. And we increased the number because the chapters are pretty quick. It's very easy read, and it's very informative. But like you heard Q said, you want to make sure, guys, that you read it first through and then go back and highlight afterwards, where you can take your notes. We're going to have the same exact question. What did you learn most from this review? And we definitely want to have you guys chime in and be a part of this review on the Google Hangouts. And so all you have to do is make sure that you have the app downloaded so we can get it from you. We don't have a winner today because we didn't have anybody answer the question. But guys, we're gonna announce a winner next week. Okay, you got to make sure that you join the email blast. You want to like the page. Then of course you want to answer the question of the week, and the question of the week, or you can answer it under the events tab. So I'm going to show you guys one more time so you can see where it's at. So if you go to if you go to the community, on the community, you'll see on the left hand side it says events. So you want to click there and you can find where the next event will be, as well as if you're here, you go here, and then you're going to go down and click on events and find out when the next event will be for this particular review. Click on it. You're going to join it, and then you're going to put your answer right down here at the bottom. So make sure you do that so that you can actually get the opportunity to win on next week's review, guys. We want to make sure as well, if you haven't already done so, join my Visionary Circle by going to my website, Taria Avant. You can also download my app. I have an app that's available now that you can download on your iPhone or your Android phone. And so don't forget, guys, we're going to be reading, that was not right, but we're going to be reading chapter 7 through 11 for next week's review on what to say when you talk to yourself by Mr. Helmstetter. And Q, we appreciate you for joining us on today. Definitely, I'm so excited that we were finally able to get somebody on the video to review, and we'll have more people joining us each and every week. Also, don't forget, if you want to go back and you just go to visionarybookclub.com, the latest video will be posted for you, as well as SoundCloud. You can download SoundCloud. It actually is also available on my app, where you can go back and listen to all the past calls that we have done. So with that said, guys, look forward to seeing each and every one of you on next week's review call. Remember, Wednesday at 9:30. We pushed it back 30 minutes if you didn't notice. And I want to congratulate all of you guys that have dialed into the call, that are on right now watching us live, for just taking that step to moving forward. Remember, it's your self-talk, what you say to yourself, okay? We're going to learn more of how to get better at doing that so we can change our lives for the better and be able to do some tremendous things in the world. Guys, vision is the art of seeing what's invisible to others. That's why you're part of this book club. My name is Taria Vision Avant. It's been a privilege and pleasure to present to you our review with the Visionary Book Club. Bye, Q. I'll see you next week.